us at 800-500-8320. Just call your email address and we'll email you this phenomenal video training program at our expense, not yours. It's an incredible gift. See if you agree. 3 ways to double sales in 12 months. I took Jason's training less than a year ago. This year alone, Jason has made my explode as far as my sales growth by over 250%. I'm expecting on doing close to $5 to $6 million gross this year just off of his training. Again, call with your email address and we'll give you a program that others have paid dearly to receive. 800-500-8320. 800-500-8320. That's 800-500-8320. Paid for by Power Sales University. I am Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. He was in great health. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. And super hard, obviously, with the family, but my dad had life insurance. So even after he passed away, he was still able to provide for my mom. And of course, by extension, my brother and I. This is why I have life insurance for my family, my wife, and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com. Because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. 10 minutes. You're covered. Your family is covered. You get $2 million in coverage for $2 a day. That's a 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking man. We don't like to talk about death in our culture, but everyone's going to die. You're going to die. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S, ethos.com/rate. Rates may vary, pay monthly. Ethos.com/rate. Never get old. Celebrating America 250. Sirius XM Patriot 125. Registered American. This is Stacy on the Right on Sirius XM Patriot 125. Welcome back. You just have to forgive me. I'm usually not up at this hour. Certainly, if I am, I'm not watching CNN. And so I'm just going to continue to give live updates about the buffoonery that CNN is engaged in. The last segment, ladies and gentlemen, here's the Chiron. Airports is, quote, perfect, end quote, test run for midterms. Like, that's the story. So far, by the way, CNN has not actually covered the murder of Sheridan Ford by an Israeli who was allowed in the country under Biden, committed 2 crimes and was summarily released to be out on the streets to commit the murder. CNN hasn't covered it. Anderson Cooper in the last hour didn't cover it either. All right, just keeping score. Like Bannon, what Bannon said about ICE agents being at the airport is a quote unquote perfect test run for the midterms. That feeds into the hive-minded kabuki, blue sky echo chamber leftist conspiracy theory. Like the leftist purple-haired freaks on social media believe that ICE agents will be at polling booths. Like, if I saw an ICE agent, because I vote, producer Chris, I vote absentee in person. It's kind of crazy. But I live like 2.5 blocks away from the Duval County voter registration office. I think it's the office for the state. But anyway, so I have a precinct, but the church is like 6 blocks away. So I can just walk 2.5 blocks right there to the official office, which is what I do. So they have my ballot that they would otherwise mail to me at the office. They just give it to me. I fill it out and I put it in the box. But if I saw an ICE agent standing outside of that building, I would think it was interesting. Like, it'd be like half journalism brain, half, polite Jerome. Like, hey, officer, how you doing? You know what I mean? I walk in, I fill out my ballot, and I leave. Like, who the hell cares? there have been, I've been voting here. I've been in Jacksonville for a decade. So I've been here for over a half dozen elections, midterms, special, presidential. I've seen police outside of the precinct, and I've rarely seen the precinct that I vote at, the office I vote at, with lines. But I've seen long lines before, and I've seen police presence outside. I just like what the hell? Like, who the hell cares if federal immigration officers are near or around polling precincts on election day? I mean, how crazy do you have to be to hear that scenario and I guess think that that is somehow the Third Reich in America? Hey, this is like a real problem. Like the psychology of the people in this country who are just committed to continuing to go down a crazy rabbit hole where they think that Donald Trump is a dictator, he'll never leave office, and if someone like his former lieutenant and Steve Bannon says, "Oh, ICE agents at airports," like ICE agents at airports in the news, you think CNN, if they could report about Bedlam going down at multiple airports because ICE agents are at those airports, you think CNN would be breaking their neck to beat MS Now to report that story? They're not, because it's not happening, despite the fact that Tom Homan sent ICE agents to 14 airports in the last 48 hours. Like, nothing's happening. You think that that would be enough evidence for these crazy ass people to believe that, you know what, if you're not in this country illegally, ICE and Border Patrol don't want anything to do with you. Minnesota accuses DOJ of blocking evidence in DHS shootings. Oh, here we go. Another one. Another banger from CNN. I think with every day that goes by, I either see John Fetterman appear on a news channel, or he's in some sort of interview, or he's being stopped by a reporter in walking through the halls of the Senate, or John Fetterman tweets something. It just feels like data points are collecting that will eventually lead to John Fetterman just like leaving the Democrat Party or becoming independent. I don't have the numbers again off the top of my head, but I think he's underwater among Democrats. I think like he has a 60% unfavorability rating with Democrats in Pennsylvania. And his numbers among Republicans have gone up. I don't know the independent numbers, and I don't want to misspeak to the data. But he's like more popular, John Fetterman, in Pennsylvania among Republicans, and far less popular among Democrats. He's a Democrat senator from the Commonwealth. I mean, look, I'm just a guy who's worked hard and got a little lucky, and certainly blessed beyond favor, bloviating on into a microphone right now. And I'm putting this constellation together. I'm pretty sure these conversations have been had with John Fetterman and his senior staff. He's going to have to run for re-election, and I think that's going to happen here in a couple of years. He's going to run as a Democrat. I mean, Republicans in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania are going to have to vote for John Fetterman if they want him to remain in office. Because I got to tell you, whoever the DNC runs against John Fetterman is going to be worse, a lot worse than John Fetterman. As a matter of fact, it'll be the mayor of, what was it, Haddock, Pennsylvania, John Fetterman. Like the grizzled communist, left-wing, crazy guy, John Fetterman. Who this John Fetterman is right now, today, is certainly not the John Fetterman before he had the stroke and the heart bypass operation. The dude's got like an AI ticker in his heart right now. Anyway, here is John Fetterman this morning, I believe, on Fox News with host Bill Hemmer, just tearing his party's face off. He basically, John Fetterman is distraught. I mean, he's got a caucus with these people in this conference, and they're crazy. I mean, John Fetterman, I think, was the first senator to put his name to the Lincoln Riley Act. But hey,
this is like, why can't we just talk about that life lost Why can't we just acknowledge that this is a serious, serious failure? And now it's devastating as a father. So I don't know why anybody, and that's, again, I was the lead as a Democrat for Laken Riley, because that's why we have to require to protect America from the dangerous elements that shouldn't even be here illegally, always.
Well, this person was in custody twice. 2 times. He had 2 chances. Right? And what does that suggest to you about what ICE is trying to do in a lot of these American cities?
Yeah, I mean, I think only 7 or 8 Democrats even voted for Laken Riley. Why can't you just agree that if you're breaking the law and you're already here illegally, deport them? I just don't understand. And then try to do just what happened to that young woman. They are going to continue to happen. It's just that's justice. That's beyond common sense. Why can't you just support this? Why is that unreasonable to anybody?
Can you answer that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they're afraid of the base, or people just that is. I'm constantly punished. I think it's the right thing.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a speech impediment there, but that was the Pennsylvania Democrat Senator John Fetterman talking about the senseless, horrific murder of Sheridan Gorman by an illegal immigrant. John Fetterman just says, why can't we just deport them? I pulled up the polling numbers here. This is from PennLive.com. Senator John Fetterman's political future is not looking bright if he decides to stay in the Democratic Party. At least that is what a recent Quinnipiac poll, which was highlighted by CNN data guru Harry Eaton, suggests. The poll showed that Fetterman was at plus 68 with Democrats in Pennsylvania back in 2023. He has fallen down to negative 40 points. 108-point swing. Dude was plus 68. Now he's negative 40 among Democrats in Pennsylvania. What changed? Well, I don't even know what John Fetterman's voting record is. He can vote 100% with the Democrats. Clearly didn't on the Lincoln Rowley Act. And here he is again, just completely out of alignment with the Democrat Party, which is out of alignment with reality and common sense. This would be a great pickup. Trump and his legislative liaison are they're just telling John Fetterman, just become independent. So you have to be killed. Just leave the Democrats. Oh man, it's amazing. All right, that's our number. This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-619-6488 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-619-6488. That's 800-619-6488. What do you have to lose? Call 800-619-6488. Again, 800-619-6488. By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from IQBar. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at iqbar.com/policy/terms of service. I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQBar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Plain ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. You feel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar. Now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping when you text PATRIOT to 64,000. Text PATRIOT to 64,000 to get your 20% off.
That's Patriot to 64,000. Freedom never gets old. Celebrating America 250. Sirius XM Patriot 125. News this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. President Trump says Iran made a valuable offer to reach a deal with the United States. Negotiations that Iranian officials have so far denied are taking place. The president says Iran has made a show of faith. They gave us a present, and the present arrived today. It was a very big present worth a tremendous amount of money. And I'm not going to tell you what that present is, but it was a very significant prize. And they gave it to us, and they said they were going to give it. So that meant one thing to me: we're dealing with the right people. No, it wasn't nuclear related. It was oil and gas related, and it was a very nice thing they did. But what it showed me is that we're dealing with the right people. Meanwhile, attacks on both Iran and Israel continue today. The investigation into that deadly crash at New York's LaGuardia Airport between a jet and a fire truck Sunday night is now in full swing. Stop, truck one. Stop. That sound captured on liveatc.net of the air traffic controller trying to warn the fire truck. Then 20 minutes later. Yeah, I know. I'm here. I tried to reach out to my son. We were dealing with an emergency earlier. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says air traffic control staffing was not an issue. The front of the Air Canada jet torn apart. The two pilots killed. Flight attendant Solange Tremblay ejected while strapped into her jump seat. At least 40 injured, including 2 on the fire truck responding to a separate emergency of an odor on a United flight. Julie Walker, New York. Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police say they've arrested 2 suspects in connection with an attack on a U.S. Park police officer. Shot while driving in an unmarked vehicle, but 2 people charged with assault on a federal officer. The officer, whose identity was not disclosed, was investigating a previous incident when he was shot Monday evening. More on these stories from townhall.com. Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file bad tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon says the war against Iran is likely to improve the odds of lasting Middle East peace, despite the short-term chaos. Speaking at a conference in Washington, D.C., Dimon says creating greater stability in the region is worth the effort, as that's what it's going to take to encourage foreign investment in the region. Dimon portrays the Middle East as ready for greater stability, investment, and economic prosperity. He stresses that the regional attitude toward peace has changed a lot over the past 20 years. In his words, they all want it. Live reporting. Fortnite publisher Epic Games says it's laying off 1,000 employees to save money as it grapples with industry-wide and company-specific challenges. The North Carolina video game publisher said in a memo to employees that these job cuts are not related to AI. Use an analysis at townhall.com. Mother, wife, Air Force veteran, gun rights advocate. This is Stacey Wright. Here's your host, Stacey Washington. Welcome back to Stacey on the Right Hour. Number 3. Joining the program, waiting patiently, Jack Tomczak, Vice President of Americans for Citizens Voting, and host of the Jack Tomczak podcast. You can follow him at all the places at Jack Tomczak, at Jack Tomczak. Jack, welcome to the program. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So I opened the show with the horrific and senseless and unnecessary, completely murder of Sheridan Gordon, 18 years old, doing all the right things by a monster who shouldn't have been in this country. And, I didn't play the audio, but essentially what the audience, Jack, through Hakeem Jeffries being asked about this monster. And if he's found convicted, should he be deported from the country? And Hakeem Jeffries was like, well, I got to look at the case. And that basically sums it up. I mean, Democrats today just kind of want people like this Jose Medina to be in this country. And why would they want him to be in the country? Well, eventually they want him to vote in elections in this country. I love what you and your organization have cooking. We know about the Save America Act, but explain this avenue by which there will be an amendment to the Constitution to just stop all non-citizens from voting in the U.S. election.
Okay, so the first thing is that what we at Americans for Citizen Voting are doing is completely different than anything you've ever heard of before. And we're looking at the issue of non-citizen voting in a way that nobody's ever looked at before. At the same fact, and a lot of the voter integrity groups on the right are trying to make sure that non-citizens don't vote illegally and commit voter fraud, which is great. What we're doing is we're trying to make sure that non-citizens are not allowed to vote legally in federal elections. It sounds crazy, but there is a very real path to non-citizens being allowed to legally vote for elections for the House of Representatives and Senate in Congress. The U.S. Constitution does not require that voters be citizens of the United States.
It absolutely
Everybody
does.
assumes it does, but that is not the case. The Constitution, in Article 1, Section 2, says that for voting for the House of Representatives, and it says the exact same thing in the 17th Amendment when describing who is eligible to vote for the Senate. It says, whoever a state lets vote for their state's most numerous legislative body gets to vote for Congress. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
That means that if a state, let's say California, decides to let non-citizens vote legally for their House of Representatives, their state house, the moment they do that, all those non-citizens would be instantly and automatically eligible to vote for Congress. And because it's in the Constitution that that's how the system works, there isn't a statute that the state could pass to separate the two. And there isn't a statute that the federal government could pass to separate the two. Voter eligibility for your state's largest elected body, which is always the state house or your assembly, unless you're weird like Nebraska, that eligibility is always tied to eligibility to vote for Congress. And the only thing that can sever that tie is amending the U.S. Constitution, which is what we're trying to do.
California is an interesting example because they essentially have like an indifference policy where you don't actually need the ID to vote at all, and it causes all kinds of problems. I love Jack the second plank in your proposal, closing the constitutional loophole where states will allow non-citizens to vote in state elections, because we've seen examples here in the last year or two in places like New York City where it's been adjudicated in the courts. I mean, these states, these lawmakers, I mean, they really do want illegal immigrants or non-citizens, if you will, to vote in these elections. It's not like some phantom conspiracy just born out of fake fear.
And the case in New York City was the one time a court said no to non-citizen voting. Because non-citizen voting is legal in 4 states, in 22 cities across those 4 states, including our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Legal. It's not voter fraud. It is legal. These cities will pass a city law, city ordinance that says non-citizens can vote in a local election. And then that's the case. And in New York, people challenged it, and the court decided to expand it. But in most cases, they don't. And we've seen in the last few years, 3 cities in Connecticut have legalized non-citizen voting, and Washington, D.C. So it's the last few years, there's been an uptick in cities choosing to let non-citizens vote legally. And in Vermont, where these 3 cities did it, they had to ask the state legislature for permission. And the state legislature said yes. The governor vetoed it. And all 3 times, the legislature overrode that veto. So momentum is building, and it's reasonable to think that with all these cities and all these states legalizing non-citizen voting on the municipal level, that eventually one is going to legalize non-citizen voting for state elections, and that would trigger eligibility for congressional elections. Connecticut, in 2023, had a bill that would legalize non-citizen voting for their state legislature. I don't know if the author knew it or not. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. And the bill didn't pass, but had it passed, those non-citizens would be eligible and voting for the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. Now, electing the president is different, but it's still up to the states. The eligibility isn't tied to whether or not you can vote for the state legislature, but it is 100% up to the states. So a state could, let's say California, because of this easy example, could say non-citizens get to vote for president. Boom. That's it. It would be. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it. Except for this amendment, which is why we got to get going.
Yeah, no, Jack Tomczak, Vice President of America's for Citizen Voting, host of the Jack Tomczak podcast, joining the program right now. So you have the constitutional amendment. It's been introduced in the Congress. Give us some details. Who introduced it, and how does it work? Where does it naturally go from here?
Good question. It is House Joint Resolution 152, and Congresswoman Laura Lee out of Florida is the sponsor. And she used to be the Secretary of State in Florida, so she knows a thing or two about it.
I voted for her.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, how the process works for amending the Constitution is a bill needs to get 2/3 majority in the House and 2/3 majority in the Senate. And if it accomplishes those things, it goes to the states for ratification. Now, every constitutional amendment, except for one, has been ratified by state legislatures, meaning the House and the Senate in each state vote yes or no, and if 3/4 of the states, state legislatures vote yes, it's ratified. But the one that didn't go that way was the repeal of prohibition, the 21st Amendment back in 1933. And the process that was used for that amendment is the process that is going to be used with this amendment, the United States Citizen Voting Amendment, is after it gets 2/3 in both bodies, then it will be ratified in popular votes in each state by the people. So rather than the state legislature voting to ratify this, you and I will get to go into the voting booth on election day and vote yes or no on whether or not we want to amend the Constitution. It's only been done once, 1933, and everybody who has cast a vote, who cast a vote in 1933, is no longer with us. So this will be arguably a once-in-a-lifetime experience with the American people.
That path,
Congress.
well, sure, but that path also seems promising, Jack, and you know this because the data points that we've seen on the issue of identity in voting are pretty astronomical. I mean, just across political preference, people want, integrity, I'll say, in voting. And so, non-citizens, I mean, talking about 90-10 support.
Have you ever seen a Sasquatch, Jerome? A Bigfoot?
Yes. Only in the motion picture.
A 90-10 political issue is a Sasquatch.
Unicorn, yeah.
I've never, voter ID, that's 80-20. Like, in politics speak, we always do that's an 80-20 issue. Like 80-20 is like it's the best it can ever be. But this legitimately pulled on it. 90-10. 90% of the American people think you should be an American citizen to vote for Congress or the president. So it's not partisan. It's like it's one thing as a country here in our 250th year in existence. It's one thing that we can still come together and be Americans about. Congress needs to give people the chance to vote on.
I think that's more popular than milk chocolate. I think
you're right.
I love it.
It's the same number. It's got the same approval rating of quality toothpaste. My disagree. We need to amend the U.S. Constitution to make it the only U.S. citizens are allowed to vote.
That is Jack
Federal election.
That is Jack Thompson. He is the president, the vice president. I almost gave her a promotion.
That'd be great.
Vice president of Americans Citizen Voting. Where can people go, Jack, to find that organization online? It's
Thanks for the plug. I would have forgotten. uscitizensvote.org. uscitizensvote.org.
I'm just putting it in. I always like to check out the websites in real time. While I have you, Jack, I do want to ask you about the Supreme Court hearing arguments this week to strike down state laws allowing mass acceptance of mail-in ballots after Election Day. I didn't listen to all the oral arguments, but I did check out Samuel Alito's just sort of honing in on the fact that we have days in federal government, federal law already, in this postmarking ballots and accepting them and then counting them beyond election day, just sort of just legally bastardizes the notion of days that we already adhere to federal law. It's just this is a great country. But when it comes to, again, we just beat the hell out of the Golden State today. States like California accepting ballots, I think 2 to 3 weeks after Election Day. I mean, it's just completely left.
Jerome, here's what I know about the Supreme Court. Every time they've had the opportunity, they have written a decision saying that Congress has no authority to determine voter qualifications, and then that power resides in the states, which is how I just bring it back to my issue. Jerome, I'm from Minnesota. They're still counting ballots from elections from years ago. But anything that can curb that is a good thing.
I just, I don't think, and I promised myself I would pay attention to this, but I think the Supreme Court is ultimately also going to give us a definitive answer about what is a man and what is a woman, the biological definition that is as well. And so you're saying don't hold our collective breath waiting on the Supreme Court to strike down this.
With my issue, the citizen voting thing, we've been talking about on the state level for years and just got into amending the U.S. Constitution the end of last year. And it seems what we're saying seems so common sense, and a state legalizing non-citizen voting seems so crazy. It's hard sometimes to be taken seriously. What I say to people is, 10 years ago, everybody knew what a man was, everybody knew what a woman was. And suddenly there's doubts about that. We're living in crazy times. And we have to fix things while we can, because you never know. Common sense might become less and less common 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, certainly 20 years down the road.
USCitizenVote.org. That is the website. It's slick. It's clean. It's very nice. Perspectives from across the country. Mr. Tom Zack's got quotes here from congressmen and women from all across the union. It's good stuff. I like it.
Thank you. I will convey that to the folks on the team who made that, because they made me stay away from it.
Jack, this was fun. I think we learned a lot, certainly, and we want to see this one get across the finish line. Let's do this again.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Riz, no, this is you start talking through it, and you start to remember. Oh yeah, no, they did try that in New York a couple of years ago, getting non-citizens to vote in elections in the state. I think it was the Supreme Court of New York said no, can't do that. Hey, but that's just like the left. Democrats will try it. They will try anything at least once if it means that they can win elections. That's the whole ball game. It's the whole ball game. And keeping illegal immigrants in the country. I mean, why would Joe Biden open the border? Why would he allow people from over 100 countries coming from God knows where, God knows who into the country? Thousands of known terrorist-connected individuals in the country. Thousands of them, hundreds of thousands. According to the Republican House of Representatives, children just lost in the interior. No paperwork on them, no background checks on their so-called sponsors. Just don't even know where hundreds of thousands of children are. This Department of Homeland Security, the Trump Department of Homeland Security, has found and tracked down tens of thousands of those unaccompanied minors who should not have been in the country and were allowed to be in the country because Joe Biden just said, hell with it, and just let anybody and everybody in for hundreds of days during his 4 years. Just an absolute abomination. It's much easier for them to get in here than it is for them to get out. The left is heavily funded and heavily organized to make that statement true. They'll burn cities down to keep illegal immigrants in the country. Why? Because they want them to vote. So thankfully, there are at least people out there who have efforts ongoing to stop that from happening. 866-957-2874 is the number to call to join the program. Plenty of time for phone calls. A good friend of mine, a good friend from college, his father is listening right now. This show is massively popular, but you already knew that. This is Stacey on the Right. We'll be right back.
Mike Slater. This is the year we relearn our heritage, where we came from, our culture, history, our Christian faith, what it means to be American. Samuel Wales, right before the revolution, he said, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. He said, this is the course of nature, this is the voice of heaven, this is the decree of God. The 250th is a great time, perfect time to get connected back to our roots.
Breitbart News Daily with Mike Slater, weekdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern on SiriusXM Patriot. Freedom never gets old.
My name is Christine, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. He was a healthy 34-year-old, and 3 months later, he was gone. Thankfully, he had the foresight to get life insurance. Because we had the 2 small children, he decided it was important to get it to make sure that we would have enough in case anything ever happened. The bills were covered, the mortgage was paid, so I could focus on my kids. With Ethos, getting life insurance is fast, affordable, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exam, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. We truly don't know how much time we have. Life insurance didn't take away the loss, but it did give us the time and the space we needed to just grieve.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/apply. That's ethos.com/apply. Ethos.com/apply. Hey, spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Imagine having complete clarity about your health, not just test results, but a clear plan built around you. Today, body scans and lab tests are easy to access, but true peace of mind comes from understanding what they mean and what to do next. At Princeton Longevity Center, we go beyond testing to deliver clarity, strategy, and physician-led care designed to help protect and extend your life. Our patients work directly with board-certified physicians specializing in preventive and longevity medicine. Not algorithms, not generic reports, but real doctors who understand your history, your risks, and your goals. Yes, we use advanced imaging and comprehensive diagnostics, but what truly matters is what comes next. We interpret the results, connect the dots, and deliver a physician-led personalized plan you can act on with confidence. Because information alone doesn't change outcomes. At Princeton Longevity Center, your care doesn't end with a test. It begins there. Call 888-8000-PLC or visit PrincetonLongevityCenter.com. That's 888-8000-PLC. Every MLB game is on Sirius XM. Tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, it's opening night. The New York Yankees. The San Francisco Giants. Robbie Devers. Two storied franchises lead off the 2026 season. Hear the Giants announcers on Channel 89. The Yankees broadcast is on Channel 175 or 208. Or listen on the Sirius XM app. Call 866-957-2874. Stacy on your right with Stacy Washington on Sirius XM Patriot 125.
Welcome back to the program. You know, all that said, you know, constitutional amendment to block non-citizens from voting, you got to get that thing ratified by damn near 40 states, and it would be widely popular. Like 9 in 10 people walking around in this country don't want non-citizens voting in any election, state, local, federal. But the SAVE Act is right there. It's right there. It's Senate Leader John Thune could get it done. You know, force the issue. Just maneuver around the arcane Senate rules and force a talking filibuster, by which you would only need to beat the Democrat filibuster, which would put Democrats in a position where, what? Yeah, they have to stand up in front of the American people on the Senate floor and explain why they wouldn't want the passage of the Save America Act. Which just basically says, yeah, you got to be able to prove that you are who you say you are in order to participate in elections in America. Have Democrats literally stand up and defend their opposition to voter ID to vote in American elections. John Thune, I don't know what the hell his problem is. President wants it. 80% of America wants it. You know, will John Thune survive a Senate leadership vote? Well, who knows? John Cornyn, the senior senator in Texas, is in a very hot runoff here with the Attorney General, Kim Paxton. So we got, speaking of data points, another poll. This one from Qantas Insights polled Texas Republican Senate runoff voters. This was March 24th when it was released. Okay, here we go. 1,200 likely voters, margin of error 2.8%, and the pollsters were out in the field calling, texting from March 21st to March 23rd. All right. The results: Ken Paxton 48.8% approval, and John Cornyn 41.3%. 9.9% of those asked were undecided. Nearly 58% of Hunt's supporters are now backing Ken Paxton, which, you know, was basically the scuttlebutt. 88% of these people who participated in this poll are certain to vote. So again, these numbers aren't perfect, but it does not look good for John Cornyn, who has John Cornyn hasn't been back. He has not been America first in his nearly quarter century in the United States Senate. You want to talk about lawfare? Well, John Cornyn voted for a lot of the judges who are now being stalwart opponents of President Trump's agenda, his second term in office. I mean, John Cornyn just time and time again voted with the establishment. And oftentimes the establishment happened to be Democrats. I mean, John Cornyn spent a lot of time in the United States Senate in the early 2000s when Democrats were in the majority. I mean, it's just Bradley J., Breitbart associate politics editor, has just done Omen's work. I mean, he's not smearing John Cornyn. He's just showing the man's record. This is from Jasmine Jordan at Breitbart. She writes, Senator John Cornyn's campaign has come under increasing scrutiny following revelations of his record of supporting President Joe Biden's judicial nominees. As I just explained, Cornyn voted to confirm double-digit numbers of Joe Biden's judicial nominees, many during the 117th Congress, when Republicans had leverage in an evenly split Senate. With support from Cornyn and other Republicans, the confirmation did not require tie-breaking votes from Vice President Kamala Harris. The consequences for the Trump administration have been described as severe, as judges confirmed with the support of John Cornyn have issued rulings affecting policies related to immigration enforcement, fighting fraud, and tariffs. I know there's some people in Texas listening right now. You got a decision to make on May 26th when the Texas Republican Senate runoff is scheduled to go down. Like if you like John Thune was Mitch McConnell's second in charge, his highest ranking lieutenant, 4 years. And so in effect, John Thune is basically Mitch McConnell light. He's Mitch McConnell 2.0. And John Thune, it took 2 ballots to get John Thune the Senate leadership vote. He needed 27 votes, and he just barely got 27. 2 of those votes belonged to John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell. This is how the change happens, all right? Right now, the majority of Republican senators are not America first. I'm sad to say it. I won't do a lot of name dropping, okay, because that's just unnecessary. But the fact of the matter is that John Thune, if you ask me, not in his bones, not in the marrow of his bones, he's not America first. He's just not reflexively America first. Maybe he's just been in the Senate too long. I don't know. Maybe it's something in the water up there in North Dakota. I don't know. But what I do know is that Republican voters deserve better than the representation that we currently have. Yes, there are 53 Republican senators in the United States Senate. But again, what the hell's going on up in Alaska? I mean, Lisa Murkowski is an embarrassment. I mean, again, I don't even know why the woman is still in the party. You know, if we held a United States Senate draft, I'm pretty sure that a majority of Republican voters, rightly or wrongly, would trade Senator Murkowski for John Fetterman. And again, I don't know if they'd be right or wrong. I'm pretty sure John Fetterman isn't voting with Republicans the majority of the time. But that's something you could almost say about Senator Murkowski up in Alaska. It's an important race going down in Texas, May 26th, this runoff. Like, will Ken Paxton be perfect? I don't know. I don't think so. Who the hell is? We're all fallible. We're all fallen. God help us. But Ken Paxton can't be worse than John Cornyn. And I believe that he will be light years better than John Cornyn on the votes that matter, on the America First agenda. And then, I mean, speaking of Mitch McConnell, you know, you can't really get mad at the guy for who he married, but he married into the elite wealth of the Communist Party in China. And so it just is what it is. But there is also an opportunity in Kentucky, which McConnell is, for whatever reason, finishing out his current term. But we could actually get an America First senator in Kentucky, along with Rand Paul for the most part, and Andy Barr. These things don't happen overnight. Like, there are some seats that the Republicans should flip. John Ossoff in my birth state of Georgia being one of them. The man has no business being anywhere near the United States Senate. John Ossoff. It's an absolute embarrassment. Complete bought and paid for waste of flesh. I mean, it's just John. John Ossoff is no different from Richard Blumenthal, who's no different than Senator Warner. I mean, they're all just horrific examples of lawmakers. I mean, they're just awful. They're the reason for the lawlessness. They're the reason for the fraud and the corruption, and the duplicitousness. We just deserve better. So go forth and spread the holy word, Texas. It's on you. It's on you, Texas, to save America. Cezanne? Am I saying that right?
Yes.
In Vegas. Line 1. Up first tonight on Tuesday. What's on your mind?
So I just want to highlight what President Trump did for the first time, I think, in our history on doing his last speech. He exposed the Democrat Party as a party of
Thank you, Skull Spotter. I will. I can't do it through the Rumble app, but I will once I
During the State of the Union.
get stopped.
That's right. 100% of the Democrats, President, they sat on their hands on national TV. These ramifications.
I'll be done with the stream in about 5 minutes, so
taking advantage of
10 minutes.
I think everybody should be talking about that, because if you ever saw a constitutional crisis, this is it.
Yeah.
And why is that so, you may ask? Well, all those congressional leaders have sworn to uphold the Constitution when they went up to the Congress, right? And so now they're saying that we don't believe that the Constitution that is based on America First, in the first chapter, the very first page of our Constitution, which is the preamble to the Declaration of Independence, says that the government is to provide the needs of the governed. And if at any time the government no longer provides the needs, then it is up to the people. It's not only a duty, but also the right to stand up, alter, or change the government. So that's right. The premise of the whole Constitution is that the government is to provide the needs of the governed. It's with the consent of the governed. And so when the congressional leaders will say, no, we don't believe in that, it is absurd that then all the conversation's over. The game is over. There's nothing to talk about. And that should be our speech, our conversations. And this is a constitutional crisis.
No, Cezanne, beautifully said. And I will tell you, I am aware of conversations, okay, in which what President Trump did during his State of the Union, asking Democrats if they would stand, if they believe that it is their duty to put Americans first, and they didn't stand. I can tell you, Cezanne, that there are plans already in the works to turn that moment during the State of the Union, those Democrats sitting down, into multiple millions of dollars in ads, because it was a powerful moment. And I think psychologically, the tens of millions of Americans who watched it live and then watched it again on social media and then watched it again maybe on the cable and network news, but to see it and have them reminded of it down the stretch of some of these maybe tight campaigns and races, I think will be powerful, because you never know what the country's going to look like at the end of the summer, heading into the fall and the November elections. But it could be.
Because this is where you have the mafia infiltrating the bank, and then the committee of the banks, you ask them, oh, stand up if you think the security of the bank is your priority, and they don't stand up. I hope the medical board comes and takes my license away.
Yeah.
This is absurd, and there's no two ways around it. I mean, this shows that DNC, the Democrat Party, has always been a party of fraud and scam. And in fact, I'm just about publishing my book about all that. It's called Common Sense 2.0, and I'm writing about the fact that the Democrat Party is the problem, and we need to basically abolish the Democrat Party, because they've been party of slavery, civil rights issues, the Jim Crow laws, black codes, disenfranchisement, and the big civil war.
Don't forget the Ku Klux Klan. Cezanne,
and also the Trail of Tears. It started off with tyranny. It started off with those scam. Democrat Andrew Jackson, the founder, he started the Trail of Tears and killed so many American Indians right there and then. 750,000 fellow Americans died in the hands of Democrat Party. We should be talking about those, because most Americans don't know. And Democrats have tried to re-engineer the history, rewrite the history, gaslight Americans. And I hope I'll get you a copy of my book. This is all documented.
It's all coming back to me now. I remember we talked before a couple months ago.
There you go.
I gotta get to my last break, but I appreciate your passion as always. And good Lord, man, if we could bottle it up, manufacture it, and put it into the bloodstreams of some of these elected Republicans, I think we'd be better off for it. The examples, sadly, are plenty. I mean, the fact that a woman, 18 years old, is dead today, murdered by a monster who shouldn't have been in the country. That's who the Democrats. That's why the Democrats were sitting down. They can't.
Yeah, you know what makes me really upset? Maybe to refer to these Democrats as extreme Democrats, those bad Democrats. No, it's like saying that extreme mafia. No, mafia, they're not for America, they're for themselves. There is no extreme mafia. Like call it a very dangerous tiger. All tigers are dangerous. The Democrat Party as a DNC, not individuals, not the voters, but the party elites are just nothing but a scam. They're not for America. They've exposed themselves over and over. There's no reason we need to sit down and scratch our heads. Why are you doing this? Why did you say this? Well, because they're the mafia. The biggest mafia in the world is the Democrat Party, not the Sicilian mafia, not the Irish mafia, because they have a different agenda. It's not America. It's not Americans.
Yes.
It's the party first.
Yeah.
And the mullahs, and I'm from Iran, by the way, and as you probably remember, and the mullahs of Iran and the Democrat Party and all the bullies and dictators have the same thing in common. They're all about power hungry. Iranian mullahs don't care about Iranians either. Just like the Democrats have already on national TV said we don't care about America. What else are we going to do? We have to fire them.
Cezanne, you're on a roll, and I hate to stop it, but I have to. I got to take a break, brother. Good luck to you. Stay safe and keep the people healthy. Yeah, that's a passionate brother right there. We need more like him. Hopefully he's a poll worker and he's training folks. Campaigning, man. Tell you. 866-95 Patriot. We'll take one more break. We'll be right back.
Our News Daily with your host, Mike Slater.
This is not really meant and help the ranchers whose livelihoods have burned up. We'll celebrate this. Come on.
Breitbart News Daily. Weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Patriot 125.
Is your old bathroom more like a chore than a relaxing retreat? Transform that old space into